In this podcast, I will be showing you what we did on the last two laboratories. The first laboratory is called the onion cheek laboratory because we analyzed the plant cells from an onion and the animal cells from the cheek of one of us. Well, we didn't have enough time on the first laboratory, so we didn't analyze the animal cells, so we only analyzed the plant cells from the onion. On the other hand, the second laboratory is called the pond ecosystem life, in which we took water from a puddle after raining and analyzed that water looking for life. The materials that we used for the first laboratory were a scientific coat, an onion, a microscope, a glass slide, some cotton swabs, a cover slip, a Bunsen burner, some tweezers, an iodine or Lugol, methylene blue, and alcohol. The materials that we used on the second lab were a scientific coat, water from a pond, a microscope, glass slides, and a pipette. On the first laboratory, we got our onion, then we cut it in half, and then with help of our teacher, we got the tissues of the onion which contains the cells. Then these tissues were put into alcohol. Then we take them out of the alcohol and put it into the methylene blue. Then we took the tissue out when it was all covered with methylene blue and put it into a glass slide. So after we had our tissue covered with methylene blue, we took the other tissue and put it into the Lugol. So we put it into the Lugol, and then we took it out and put it into another glass slide. Then we washed them and looked at them at the microscope. First we looked at the one covered with methylene blue, and then we looked at the one covered with Lugol. And this is what we saw. So this leaves us to 4 questions. The first one is, what is the nucleus for? So the nucleus controls the enzymes, and by doing this it controls all the activity on the cell. So as you can see, it is very important because it controls everything on the cells. So the second question is, what is the nucleolus for? So the nucleolus is very important as the nucleus because it is where the RNA is processed and transcribed on the cell, and it is also the ribosome assembly. So we can see that it is very important because it contains a lot of information of the cell. The third question is, do the cells you saw divide by what method? Well, the cells that I saw are plant cells, so these onion cells in this case divide by mitosis, because the cells divides into two to create another cells with the same information by dividing the chromosome. The fourth and last question of this laboratory is, do onions use sexual or asexual reproduction to exist? Well, the onions use asexual reproduction to exist because of its cells division method, which is mitosis. As you already know, we didn't have enough time to do the animal cells analyze, so we just had time to extract the cells from our friends. In the second laboratory, we had our water taken from the pond. We took some water of it with a pipette. Then we put some of that water, into the glass slides. Then with those glass slides filled with some water, we put them into the microscope. Then we saw on the microscope some living things in there. And these are the 2 organisms that we saw. Also, for this laboratory, we had 2 questions. The first one is, describe how the organisms that you observed moved. So, the organisms that I saw, they move just like a frog when they swim. They move through the water by moving their external parts or using their ability to make water go through them, or simply using their aerodynamic shape. The second and last question for this lab is, describe the importance of microorganisms and what would happen if they suddenly disappear. So, the microorganisms help us and help the environment to make this compensation by eating something that is dead. It also produces oxygen. They cause evolution in many species because those organisms are weak, and they make symbiotic relationships like when a cow cannot digest, the microorganisms help them. But if they disappear, there will be more dead bodies affecting the environment, there will be less oxygen, no advance on evolution in the microorganisms' evolution, and somehow problems on other animals' systems because there wouldn't be symbiotic relationships. I have two opinions and conclusion for this. The first one is that the plant cells have a very efficient method, that is mitosis, and they make the plant grow and grow very fast, and that is very efficient on the environment. The second one is that the microorganisms help us to make the decomposition by eating something that is dead. They help us to produce oxygen, that is very important in the environment. Also, they cause evolution on their species, on microorganisms species, and they make symbiotic relationships with us and with some animals around us. So those are the two opinions that I have.